going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another episode of the Premier League SPUR-SEPCTIVE, where me and my brother are going to take a look at the Premier League games, give our review on it as well. We do have our scores where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes on Predict the Prem. The score at the moment is 134 to me, 121 to Sim, and the way the scoring works is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man as well, which is 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And once you pick a player, you cannot pick them again for the remainder of the season. So let's get straight into it, starting with Brentford against Tottenham, which finished 2-2 on the day. Sim went 1-0 to Spurs. I went 1-1, so I get a point there. And yeah, I thought it was going to be a very tough game for Spurs, and that's exactly how it panned out. But it was just like we hadn't been away. Exactly the same problems as we had before the break. Conceding 2 goals early on, well, going 2-0 down anyway, and then a nice little fight back, as we've been accustomed to seeing the last 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, we've been named the comeback kings, but I don't know if you can be named the comeback kings when you're just like trying to come back every game. It's like law of averages, you're going to come back a fair few amount if you concede the first goal every game. So,
first 2.
Like, honestly, 6 out of the last 9 games in all competitions, we've conceded 2 to gone 2-0 down. And
it's all right against like the Brentfords and the Bournemouths and stuff, where we can come back. When we do that against the Manchester Uniteds and the Chelseas and any of the top 6 teams, we just can't come back.
And exactly right. And that's a big problem, which I would have thought they would have addressed over the break, but clearly it's the same thing. I can't tell if we start badly and then finish strongly because of changes we make, or is it because of changes the opposition make will allow us back into the game. I mean, it remains to be seen. Obviously, the Spurs players, Kulusevski saying he's not happy about it, and obviously Conte saying that's obviously not the plan to start this way, but it keeps happening, and something needs to seriously change. But anyway, just going on to result, we did claw it back, and to be fair, you could argue maybe unlucky not to win it near the end with some late chances, but we did score the 2-1 out of the blue, didn't we? We were not in that game at 2-0, and so you got, in that case, we were lucky to get a point.
But from then on, we really pumped them, and we were the better side, and probably unlucky not to go on and take all 3 points. But there was a stat as well that Brentford, since being ahead in the Premier League, they haven't dropped any points since being ahead, so this is the first time, and on the back of a brilliant winner at the Etihad as well.
No, look, under normal circumstances, a 2-2 draw away, Brentford having been 2-0 down, is a good result. It's just the fact that we've been conceding the first goal every game. It's like every game we're coming back, and you can't keep saying we show good character when we keep conceding the first goal.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And it's just so frustrating because, like, you waited so long to see Spurs and you're getting so excited that Spurs are coming back. Within 15 minutes, you're 1-0 down. And you're like, all right, second half, Tottenham are coming. All right, within 5 minutes of the second half, you're 2-0 down. And then it's just like back to the same crap. But then we get back in it, and then it's great end to the game. But we just need to figure out a way how to start games better, because it's just not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough the way we're starting games at the moment. But that's that. I get a point. Sim doesn't get a point for that one. He predicted a Spurs win. But let's move on to Crystal Palace against Fulham, which finished 3-0 to Fulham on the day. Both of us going 2-1 to Palace. And a great result for Fulham away at Selhurst Park. Do Palace fans need to be worried about their form at the moment?
Potentially. I think I didn't get to see many of the 3 p.m. games because I was travelling back from Brentford at the time. But from what I gather, Fulham were on top before they took the lead, and then obviously they got 2 red cards, Crystal Palace, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think it went 1-0, red card, 2-0, red card, 3-0. Listen, once a team goes down to 10 men, especially in the Premier League when you're not one of the top teams, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get anything, especially when you're already losing. If you're already losing and then you go down to 10 men, it's pretty much over. But can't take anything away from Fulham. Very impressive result away at tricky ground. And by and large, from what I gather, they were on top even before the red card. So you can't take anything away from them. But when a team is down to 9 men, you have to win that game.
Of course. And Alexandra Mitrovic, who was a big doubt coming into this game, plays, goal and 2 assists. Ooh. And brilliant performance from him. Yeah,
and carrying, obviously he got 1 goal, he got 2 goals, didn't he, at the World Cup, continuing his good form from before the World Cup. So good credit to them. And Fulham now, fair play to them. It's still in 9th, but they're going well for a newly promoted side. Palace, they've lost their last 2, but they did win the last 2 before that. Look, they're mid-table. It's pretty much where they expect to be.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. 0 points for each of us there. Everton against Wolves finished 2-1 to Wolves. On the day, I went for 0-0. You went for 1-0 to Wolves, so you get a point there. Everton go up, take the lead really early on. Wolves peg back straight away in Lopetegui's first game, and then in the last kick of the game, 95th minute, Wolves snatch all 3 points at Goodison Park, which is a great start to life under Julian Lopetegui. But Everton, man, 1 point above the drop now. Frank Lampard must be under serious pressure.
And they got Man City to come next, so doesn't get any easier for Frank Lampard. And I was saying before the break, I thought he was under serious pressure if he doesn't start turning results around. He said last season when he took over, look, we're in a relegation battle, but if we just can keep ourselves safe, next season we can push on, get to mid-table, and then build something. But this season it just has gone flat again, and he's now admitted after this game they are in a relegation battle again, even though it's only 16 games in. I think the way the squad is, injuries, and I think just the way they're playing, for me right now, they're really badly struggling. Obviously the injury to Calvert-Lewin has not helped. They don't really have a presence in the front line. Relying on players like Anthony Gordon is all well and good when you have other players around him who are maybe chipping with the goals, but Gordon is a player you want to supplement your attack, not a player you want to rely on. And he, how many goals has he scored in his time at Everton? Probably a handful. And
he's a young
player.
I think he scored 4 this season and 3 last season.
He's a young player. You can't rely on him for goals. Townsend's been injured. Damari Gray, you can't rely on him for goals. They don't have many goal scorers in the front line, and you're relying on a very solid defence. So when Cody's out injured, like he was yesterday, they're struggling.
Was he out injured, or he just couldn't play because he's at his parent club in Wolves?
Oh. Yeah, maybe that was it then. I thought, that was it. So he wasn't playing. Obviously, I did go 1-0 up. And I didn't see it. I did actually see the last few minutes of this game, and it was very interesting because Everton were having it, playing it around their back line. And the Everton fans started to boo because they wanted them to lump it in, try and get a winner in the last minute. And for a good, solid minute, I would say, they refused to do it. They were just playing it around the back. It was like they were settling for a point. Like they were playing it. And then one player, I can't remember who it was like, all right, I'm just going to do it. He just lumps it in. And then all the fans start cheering. And then Wolves counter on them and score. So maybe Lampard was right. Maybe they should have just not lumped it in. But good result for Lopetegui. I don't think you could read too much into it because from what I have read, they didn't really deserve the win. They kind of just got a lucky late goal. But Everton, you have to say, they're in deep trouble.
They are in deep trouble, and I think that the ownership, people like to lump it on Levy and ENIC, but the ownership at Everton have completely done a disservice to the club, because when you're looking at Everton, never been relegated, always been a Premier League side. If they go down, it'll be a tragedy in terms of from the Everton fans and where they want to be as a football club. But they're struggling to spend money because of FFP. The players that they have brought in to put them in that situation have been nowhere near good enough. And it's just a complete mess, that football club, from top to bottom.
But if you're Everton, surely you see Wolves getting Lopetegui, you see Aston Villa getting Unai Emery, you see big clubs who are in and around you making top appointments. Like, at what point do you twist instead of stick with Lampard?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because they brought in Ancelotti and it looked like they were onto something, better than what they're onto now, and he left for Real Madrid. Then they brought in Rafa Benitez, which the fans never got behind. But those two managers you're talking about should be good enough for Everton to keep them into mid-table at least, you know what I mean? And Frank Lampard is nowhere near good enough.
The thing is, under Rafa, they were bad, but they were never in a relegation battle until Lampard came.
Yeah.
That's the truth. So I reckon maybe a couple more defeats, and they might start thinking elsewhere.
Yeah, but where is it elsewhere? That's the thing.
Well, as I said, Wolves and Villa found some good appointments, so I'm sure they could find one.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Leicester against Newcastle, which is 3-0 to Newcastle. Sim went 1-0, so he gets a point there. I went 1-1, and how wrong was I? Because it was business as usual for Newcastle this season. Miguel Almiron carries on his brilliant start to the season as well with another goal. Chris Woodard, Joe Linton also getting in on the act, and Kieran Trippier with yet another assist. I mean, he's up for Player of the Year at the moment. I mean, Haaland aside, you know what I mean?
He's a machine at the moment. We knew how good he can be in a good structure like he was at Spurs when it came to getting assists. He's always had a brilliant final delivery. There's always been question marks on the other aspects of his game, but he seems definitely to tighten up, and he's been the best right back in the league by none this season, 100%. Newcastle back to winning ways. Well, I say back to winning ways. They've won a few in a row, but
back to winning ways after the break.
Exactly, after the World Cup. Leicester, I always felt without Maddison, which he was injured and he's going to be out for the next game as well. Without him, they're very heavily reliant on him. Without him, I don't see how they're going to hurt a team like Newcastle who are keeping clean sheets for fun. And what's interesting for Newcastle as well, Chris Wood is now starting to chip in. I believe in the game before the World Cup, Wilson went off injured. Wood came on and scored, or I think Wood even started, and they won. And now he's just had another start, another goal.
Yeah.
So
albeit it was a penalty, but yeah.
Yeah, but still another keeps him ticking over. And so it means like they're not being heavily, like they're not, even though people would think they're very heavily reliant on someone like Callum Wilson up front, Wood's coming in and getting goals, and obviously Almiron continuing his sparkling form. And you've got to say at this point, I mean, are they favourites for top 4 at this point?
What's the points situation?
They're 3 ahead of us on same games played, to be fair. So it's still fairly tight, but just the way how consistently they're playing, and even in their bad period they had at the beginning of the season, they weren't losing too many games, just a lot of draws. So they've always had that consistent base, like very solid defensively, very hard to beat. And now they've seemed to got clicking going forward. It's like the wins are just rolling in.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because I think they will go through a sticky patch like every club will. And you're looking at teams like Manchester United who are getting better, Liverpool who are getting better, signing good players, Chelsea who are ultimately going to get better as well. So it's going to be a really interesting battle this year for 4th.
They're well in it though. They're 100% well in it. Like at this point, they're no longer like massive outsiders.
I mean, they're second in the league for God's sake.
But no, I'm saying it's not like, you know, like I think last season there was a team second, maybe not last season, but there's been before, like at this stage, a team second in the league where you know they're not going to stay there. But with Newcastle, they do give off that vibe, like they could easily get top 3 or something this season.
It's a very impressive job Eddie Howe's doing, that's for sure. Let's move on to Southampton against Brighton. 3-1 to Brighton at St Mary's. 2-2 both of us went for, but it was pretty much a comprehensive victory for Brighton, and De Zerbi getting a deserved ring.
Hey. And that's 3 wins out of 4 now in his last 4 games for De Zerbi. So really starting to turn things around at Brighton after a poor start, albeit they did look decent, we just weren't able to get the points. Nathan Jones, though, struggling in his first couple of games for Southampton, and they look in serious trouble as well. If they don't get some serious investment in January, a striker and a defender, like
they've got a championship team, don't they?
That's reality. They've let go of so many players over the years, and it was always a kind of like, when is it going to catch up with them? And maybe it is now.
Yeah.
They've obviously Hassan, who I thought actually did a good job over the years to keep him in the league and keep him competitive for mid-table, but Nathan Jones now has got a real job on his hands, and it remains to be seen whether he's up to it. Considering it's his first Premier League job, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to keep up this Southampton side, but it'll be a good achievement if he can do it.
Yeah, it will be. And Brighton ticking along. Where are they? 7th in the league or something?
7th, yeah. Just on Liverpool's coattails, a point behind, and 6 points behind Spurs with a game in hand. In the top
Where do you think their ceiling is? Do you reckon 7th is their ceiling? Can they finish any higher than that?
No, I don't think so. I don't even think they can finish 7th because Chelsea is still behind them. So I think top 8 probably is their ceiling, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Aston Villa against Liverpool finished 3-1 to Liverpool at Villa Park. Sim went 0-0. No, Sim went 2-1 to Liverpool. I went 2-1 to Villa. And you know what? I don't think this was a 3-1 game, to be honest, for Liverpool. I think Villa played really well, should have got something out of the game. They had so many chances, they just couldn't put one in the back of the net. I felt like if Danny Ings may have maybe started from the off, they could have done more from this game. But I think it was a bit of a sucker punch from Liverpool to win 3-1.
Yeah, I think they had their chances, Villa. You have to say that. Watkins had a number. McGinn had a good header at the back post. Leon Bailey had a couple of really promising openings. So they'll feel aggrieved that they weren't able to at least get ahead or equalise in this game. But when it went 2-0 Liverpool, obviously they did get a goal back, but those 2 goals were very easily conceded, I felt. Poor defending from set pieces. They switched off. And then in the second half, I didn't think they had the same energy as they did in the first half, and they didn't create as many openings as they did in the first half, and maybe lost a bit of belief. And then the third goal came and it was game over. So not overly impressive from Liverpool, but they did get the job done. It wasn't one of those where I feel like they were overly lucky either.
With Villa, obviously us coming up next for Villa at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, anything in that Villa performance to say that we're not going to get all 3 points on the weekend?
I mean, it's going to be difficult because they've got good attacking players, and we've seen right now our defence is struggling, but I do believe our attack has more than enough to hurt their backline. I think their backline is getting better organised under Emery, but can still be got at.
All right, let's move on to Arsenal against West Ham. Arsenal won 3-1 and stayed top of the league, and we'll move on from that. No, I'm joking. I think Arsenal well-deserved winners. West Ham were poor on the day, in my opinion. I think in the first half, West Ham were poor. In the second half, they were atrocious. And Arsenal, they were good in the first half and they were exceptional in the second half. So
yeah, West Ham scored against run of play, let's be honest. They got the penalty, and not even a bit of me believed they were going to keep on to that result, even at 1-0 up. I always felt Arsenal were getting back in it.
I turned it off at half-time because I knew what was coming, to be honest.
And it was, and to be fair, they deserved it. They did get a bit of luck with the first and second goals, like miss-hit shot falling to Saka and getting a goal, and obviously Martinelli.
Yeah, you create your own luck, don't you?
It was a poor, it was a really poor mistake from the keeper. But as you say, if you're attacking the whole game and one team's backs against the wall, as you say, the more often than not, something's going to fall your way, and that's what happened. And then at 2-1, it was game over, and West Ham never threatened to equalise, and they scored a sensational third goal. So Arsenal going really strong, unfortunately.
What's going on with West Ham at the moment? Because they've had a shocking season so far. They've brought in some players like Scamacca and Paqueta, who are good players. Just can't seem to get them going, especially, I mean, Scamacca's injured at the moment, but every time he's played, he's not been great. And Lucas Paqueta, we saw him at the World Cup, had a brilliant World Cup with Brazil, a few really good games. He just can't seem to do anything in a West Ham shirt. Yeah,
I mean, he played in a deeper role in for Brazil, and he's playing a bit behind the striker for West Ham, and hasn't really been able to influence games from an attacking point of view. Bowen's fallen off a cliff. I don't think he's got a goal in the league this season when he was scoring loads last season. Antonio isn't doing much as well. Obviously, Scamacca's done okay when given the time, but obviously he's had injuries and things like that and hasn't really consistently played. And I feel like Moyes is being asked to play a different brand of football. Like, he's obviously been very pragmatic and stuff throughout his time at West Ham, and it's got them good results and to Europa League semi-final. But now, you know, Rice has turned into one of the best DMs in the league. They got Paqueta through the door. They've got Bowen there, Scamacca there, Benrahma as well. He's starting to play him a lot more. So I think the fans are demanding a bit more football on the ground, not just pragmatism, and I think he's struggling to deliver it. Maybe that's leading to the results they're getting.
Could he be one of the next managers to go, David Moyes?
To put it in perspective, they're level on points with Everton. So, I mean, you got to say, I mean, and I know, speaking to our uncle, he's not happy with David Moyes whatsoever, and he thinks that he could be on the chopping block very soon.
He thinks I was speaking to him last night about it. He thinks he's a dead man walking, to be honest, and he's thought that for the last month or so. So it could be the writings on the wall a bit for David Moyes. And Declan Rice as well was like, if he leaves this summer, which is very likely in my opinion, I mean, where do West Ham go from there?
Yeah, I think the days of them challenging for Europe, I think, enjoy it while it lasted, in my opinion. Enjoy your Conference League run.
While it lasts, exactly. Yeah. Let's move on to Chelsea against Bournemouth. Finished 2-0 to Chelsea. Sim said 2-0 to Chelsea. Absolutely spot on with a big 5-pointer there. I went 1-1, so I don't get any points there, but it was a routine victory for Chelsea, let's say.
Yeah, I didn't see much of this game, but I know they were 2-0 up at half-time, and they went out and saw out the victory, and Havertz got a goal and assist. Nice finish from Mason Mount outside the box as well. I always felt like Chelsea should have too much for Bournemouth. I mean, Chelsea have been in a bad run before this game, and it's important for them to get a win get a win again, considering they've gone a long time without one. But I don't think he's done enough yet to turn the critics around because of the bad form. I don't think a win at home to Bournemouth is going to silence any of the critics, but it's a starting point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And Reece James, bad luck for him.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Reece James, who goes off injured just before he can get everyone's FPL people their clean sheets.
Yeah.
You know, he was the most transferred player in during the whole of the unlimited transfers.
Oh, wow. Oh, everyone's got it. I didn't get him, so I'm delighted. But
no, but look, no one likes to see a player of that quality get injured as much as he do. So it is definitely sad to see. But I think Chelsea will gradually get better and better as the season progresses, and so as Potter's influencing his ideas on the squad and everything like that. I do think they're going to get better, and the signings that they're making as well are definitely going to put them in a good stead, especially for next season. So that's 2-0 to Chelsea. Let's move on to the last game of the weekend, which was Manchester United against Nottingham Forest, which finished 3-0 to Man U. Sim went 3-0, so another big 5-pointer there for Sim. I went for 3-1, so I just only get 1 point for this game, but it was a domination job for Manchester United. Look, it was against Nottingham Forest, but Would you say that that's a very impressive victory for Man United, or just it should be routine at home to Nottingham
I
Forest?
think something's gone seriously wrong if you're not being Nottingham Forest at home if you're a Man United manager, even if you're a new manager. You have enough quality on the pitch. Nottingham Forest aren't exactly doing fantastic, albeit they have had a couple of decent results recently, but you're at home to them. They've been I think they've got the poorest defence in the league. You have to be beating Nottingham Forest at home. And you've got players for the confidence like Rashford, who obviously did well in this game. So I think, again, I don't think you can read too much into a win like this, but albeit they are starting to build some consistency in terms of results. So which is good for them.
And Marcus Rashford, he's completely turned it around. He looked like a guy that was on his last legs at Manchester United last season. Now he's one of the top performers in the Premier League.
Shows what you do with a good footballing attacking system. It shows how important a system is to football and how it can change how players are perceived and how well they're doing. I think that's case in point with Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, brilliant player. Contract up at the end of the season.
I think they've extended it.
Oh, it's extended now.
There's an extension. I think they announced today or yesterday.
Oh, right, okay.
So and 18 months, I guess.
One more player as well, Anthony Martial, who's been out in the cold, injured, not picked, not fancied, back in the team, back in the goals. Is he a really good option for this Manchester United side on the back of Ronaldo leaving to make that fluid front three for them?
He could do worse, let's be honest. I mean, he's previously he's had good goal scoring records in spurts at Man United. For one reason or another, it really didn't work out under Ole and then under Rangnick, and he went out on loan to Sevilla and did really badly there. So it looked like his career was going down the toilet really at that point. But you got to say, he's a player with undoubted ability and quality, and him playing in the number 9 with Rashford off the left, I believe that's probably the best combination there. And I think if you've got someone like Martial ready to come in with Ronaldo gone, I really believe that that's a fairly with no outlay as well. He just comes in as a squad player. That's a good position to be in. You could do a lot worse than Martial.
In terms of Man United,
they'll buy one.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But in terms of Man United and their hopes for this season, what are you making out of them? Where can they finish this season, do you reckon?
I still think they'll miss out on top 4. I think but I do think they've got a very good chance of winning Europa League. I think they're building consistency. Ten Hag is building a decent team there. I still think the way they play they're not as well oiled as they could be just yet, and it's still early days. He's only been there 6 months, so I do believe that consistency over a season will just see them falling short of top 4. But Europa League one is not out of the question. I can see them getting into at least the semis there.
I actually think they've got a really good chance of making the top 4 this year, and I got a feeling they're going to do it.
The thing is, 6 teams have a good chance of making the top 4.
It's true. But still, early days, not even halfway through of the season yet, so a long way to go. And I think Ten Hag is definitely building something good there for the Man United fans. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, there is one more game to play, and it is Leeds against Manchester United, which happens tonight, against Man City, which happens tonight. But me and Sim predicted the exact same scoreline, so the score on Predict the Prem and SPUR-SEPCTIVE will not change after tonight, but I think we both predicted 3-1 Man City, didn't we?
So if it's 3-1 or Man City, we'll both get extra points, but there's not going to be a difference in the gaps in the points. Yeah,
exactly. In terms of star men, Sim picked Marcus Rashford with a goal and an assist, which takes him into the lead, and I put Che Adams, who got nothing for Southampton. So 142 to 137, an 18-point swing this week, which shows how much it can change. So it's going to be another 18-point swing the other way next weekend. I'm going to extend it
by 18 points. Well, you watch.
We'll see how it goes. But that is your Premier League SPUR-SEPCTIVE this week. Let me know your thoughts on all the games played over the weekend in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.